which literally puts millions of people's lives at risk, since the treatment is what keeps you alive. It's also a brilliant way to mass manufacture new strains of drug-resistant HIV to share with the whole world, including the United States, since drug-resistant HIV is what you get when you start people on treatment and then take them off it. Then other people who get that strain of HIV can't take the drugs to keep them alive, and we go back to HIV being deadly instead of a manageable disease. Took us billions of dollars and decades to get here, but hey, let's throw it all in the trash bin day one.
Unfortunately, the theme of Donald Trump's presidency is going to be "We told you so." And we already saw this. We knew what would happen. Somehow, it's even eclipsed our greatest fears for how much of a disaster he can be. We warned people, and they did not listen to us. They didn't listen to us when we said the chaos would be back, the corruption would be greater than ever. You would have no stability, security, safety in your life. You voted for the guy who eliminates the government program you rely on in a tweet. That's who you voted for. But in that sense of despair, there is still a little bit of hope left, and that is in Donald Trump's own incompetency, Donald Trump's own inability to get anything done, and his ability to quickly fold under public pressure, which is what we need to be doing. And which is what had a little bit of success in the last couple of days. And I think someone who did a great job pointing that out in calling out Donald Trump is someone who is really upset Donald Trump lately. And that is Rachel Maddow. And I want to get into what she had to say, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really means the world to me. Now let's get into Rachel Maddow talking about Donald Trump's freeze on federal funds and how we have to combat it.
We are supposed to be intimidated by these guys, right? Steve Bannon says they're going to rule for 50 years. Enrique Tarrio, the Proud Boys guy who Trump just let out of prison, he says it's going to be 100 years because they're so capable. We're supposed to be so intimidated and so impressed with them, while they are just shambolic at things they care about and things they don't. They're shambolic when they're trying. They're shambolic in passing. They have repeatedly just abjectly humiliated and embarrassed themselves every single day, including the president personally, and it hasn't even been 2 weeks yet. And, in these, 10 days, less than 2 weeks, we're already seeing them, unsurprisingly, we're seeing them fail and collapse and try to do backsies with all the things they have failed at trying to do. It started the very first day. You remember, day one, they announced a hiring freeze, full freeze, no exceptions at the VA, at Veterans Affairs. So doctors, nurses, counselors, all hired to work at the VA, people who want to work with our veterans in the VA health system, their job offers were withdrawn. We don't want you. Day one, there was a hue and cry and a huge pushback. Are you kidding? And then, whoops, climb down. Oops. Actually, we didn't mean that. Never mind about the hiring freeze for VA health personnel, at least. We take that back. That's not what we meant. That was day one. We covered that here on this show, day one. And I remember wondering whether that was just going to be a one-off. Nope, it's not. It's at least one of these every day. Same deal, for example, with PEPFAR, right? With the HIV treatment program that is credited with saving 25 million lives. They announced that PEPFAR was going away, stop work order for PEPFAR, effective immediately. Anybody getting HIV treatment through this program, too bad, that's getting cut off. No warning, instantly. Even if there are HIV antiretroviral medicines that are on the shelf and already paid for, no, we are cutting off patients who are actively taking these drugs, which literally puts millions of people's lives at risk, since the treatment is what keeps you alive. It's also a brilliant way to mass manufacture new strains of drug-resistant HIV to share with the whole world, including the United States, since drug-resistant HIV is what you get when you start people on treatment and then take them off it. Then other people who get that strain of HIV can't take the drugs to keep them alive, and we go back to HIV being deadly instead of a manageable disease. Took us billions of dollars and decades to get here, but hey, let's throw it all in the trash bin day one. That's what they announced. Hue and cry, huge pushback, and then they climbed down on that too. They've taken it back. Oh, wow, no, didn't mean that. Actually, the PEPFAR drugs, you can still keep administering those. Just today, it's happening again. This time it's at the NIH, National Institutes of Health. They had ordered a full stop, no exceptions to all clinical trials. Literally sick people in the middle of trials of experimental drugs. Stop those trials immediately. And no more research grants, and no more review of research, and no more releasing any scientific or health information, including information on the fast-growing, very scary bird flu epidemic. Stop it all. And again, hue and cry, huge pushback. Seriously, you're cutting off people with rare diseases and cancer in the middle of their treatment? Seriously? Huge pushback, hue and cry. And today, look, a climb down on much of what they had done at NIH. Oops, never mind. Take it back. That's not really what we meant. And of course, the big one. Yesterday, this bizarre two-page announcement from the Office of Management and Budget at the Trump White House demanding an immediate halt to basically everything the government funds. Total chaos yesterday in all 50 states as everything from, firefighting to school lunches to Medicaid to preschool to meat inspections, everything all gets halted. And so yesterday, as we covered here on the show last night, huge pushback, hue and cry. And they started during the course of the day trying to take back individual parts of the order. Oh, no, we didn't mean the part about that affects veterans. No, we didn't mean Medicare. No, we didn't mean the college loans and college grants paying your tuition. No, we didn't mean food stamps. They tried to claw it back piece by piece by piece yesterday as the country rose up in outrage over what they were doing. Today, finally, they realized they had to take it all back. Rescinded, didn't mean it. Not what we meant, sorry.
The Republican Party is one of obstruction. It is not able to accomplish anything. It does not have any policy goals except to tear down, to make worse, and to fight culture wars. That's it. That's all they're able to do. And sometimes they are successful at stripping away the important programs that people rely on making our country worse. Sure, they can do that. But they are oftentimes just ineffective because they so get in their own way. Their obstruction even comes back to bite them in their own butts. And that's why we're seeing this bit of a flip-flop from Donald Trump, not only because MAGA can't sustain itself, but also because he was pretty clear on what his promises were during the campaign, lowering costs, bringing safety to the world. All this, that was complete nonsense. So we knew was a lie and told people was a lie. A lot of people are expecting. And so if we can just hammer home enough how much he has betrayed his own base, how much he is failing, if we can put public pressure on Donald Trump and this administration, we might be able to fight back against some of its worst elements if we just call them out enough, if we just make the case to people in plain English of what he is doing to harm their lives, very specifically, hard their lives. And that is something that I think one member of Congress who we love, friend of the show, Jasmine Crockett, did in a clip. I want to check out right here.
No, I don't. In short, I don't believe that the president has this authority. The president did say as he campaigned that he would be a dictator on day one. It sounds like he's going to continue to try his best to be a dictator. The reality is that we go through appropriations every single year. And when we go through appropriations, number one, that is because there is only one body that has the power of the purse, and that is the Congress. It has to go through 535 people and then be signed into law by one president. And so we have monies that have been appropriated by law. And so no swipe of a pen can just delete that and stop that. And unfortunately, we have someone who has a Supreme Court that he handpicked that has definitely tested the bounds of law. I think right now what we see is we have a president that is going to continue to push those bounds and test those bounds. And unfortunately, if this Supreme Court does not get it right, it will be disastrous for the Republic as a whole. The reality is that I was able to at least get a glimpse into how I feel like the Supreme Court will conduct themselves when it came down to the TikTok ban. Now, I know a lot of people feel a way about TikTok, but from a legal standpoint, at the end of the day, it was signed into law by Biden. And he was attempting to stop what had been signed into law and had been passed through both chambers. And in a 9-0 decision, the Supreme Court determined that he was unable to do that. So with that being said, if they keep up this type of energy, I think that we will see his attempt at getting rid of birthright citizenship, which, if you are going to have any protections in this country, the strongest protections aren't even the fact that we pass a law. Our strongest protections arise out of our Constitution in and of itself. And so if you want to undo or change something in the Constitution, well, it takes a lot of work. It's a lot more than just passing a law. We've got to make sure that we have ratification. We've got to go to the states. The states will have to vote, and you got to get 2/3. So I don't think that anything is going to happen to our Constitution just yet, but it is scary that we have someone in the White House that absolutely does not care about the Constitution and does not care about the law. But we knew this. As the only convicted felon to occupy the White House, he's never had any respect for the law, and I honestly don't see him changing his tune anytime soon.
Now, when we had Jasmine Crockett on the show, she was not in her office with a perfectly set up camera. I know no one keeps more up to date and ready to speak on issues than Jasmine Crockett. But she didn't have 15 pages of notes ready. She just spoke. We just had a conversation about Elon Musk, about Donald Trump's insane agenda. We just had a conversation. That is what Jasmine Crockett is able to do so well. Jasmine Crockett is not all memos and press releases and carefully worded statements. She's giving it to you straight. She is speaking on the issues because she can off the cuff, and she is bringing her own emotion and realness to it. And we need more of that resonates with people. And she is just the perfect figure, just like the perfect example of what we need to be doing more of. And that's why I'm always happy to have her on the show. And we're going to be having Jasmine Crockett on, certainly more, because we need her voice as much as possible. And if you want to support the work we're doing over here, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around at the end, you drop a blue heart comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.